Hi, I'm Nina Schur, Hunt Real Estate, here today with Vic Bernstein from Edward Jones. He is my financial advisor, and I asked him to come here today to discuss some aspects of home ownership and financial advice, especially for our young first-time buyers, millennials. And Vic, thank you for coming. Welcome. And if a new client in, say, their 20s or 30s came to you and was interested in investing and purchasing a home down the line, what kinds of things would you discuss with that person?
Well, Nina, thanks so much for inviting me. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Thanks. And I'm really excited to talk about this because I think if somebody at an early age engages with a financial advisor, it'll really help them for their future. So some of the things that I would really encourage them to think about, number one would be, what are all of their goals? You know, if buying a home is a goal, what else might be a goal? Educating their children down the road, retiring early, you know, what's the whole story of the things that they want to accomplish in life and think about? And from that, we want to look at what's their full financial picture. So how much are they earning? How much have they saved towards a down payment? What are their current debts? Do they have student loans? Often that's a problem for folks early.
Right, a big issue these days, yeah.
So really to discuss all of the various things that are financial in their life will help give them some clarity on what they can afford and when they might want to do this.
Yeah, because I think it's so important, because I see young buyers going straight, you know, okay, it's time to buy a home, and not really getting a clear view of their total picture in terms of retirement, because it seems so far away, but it's so important. Yeah. So how can a financial advisor help these people, younger people, determine how much mortgage and down payment would be good?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So I think one of the things that we can never do properly is really understand how much money we currently spend. I ask clients all the time, you know, how much do you spend per month? And I get, you know, mostly kind of a blank stare. And I need to go through, well, what do you pay for your phone? What do you pay for utilities? What do you pay for groceries? How often do you go out to eat? So the first thing we would do is talk about how much money comes in from your paycheck. After taxes, how much money do you start out with each month? And where does that money go now? You know, and try to account for as much of it as possible. And of course, nobody thinks about how much it costs to have coffee at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts every day. Nobody thinks about how much it costs for Easy Pass if they're driving. You know, there are just many, many expenses we just never really think about. Right. So try to understand if $5,000 is coming in a month, how much is being spent. And then what's going to happen if you put money into a down payment? Will you still have some savings? Will you have money to go on vacation that you've already planned? Will you have money if something goes wrong with the house after you've purchased it?
Right, and that is really always a big issue, because you can have an inspection, everything can be fine, and you move into the house, and 3 days later the hot water tank goes.
Right.
And it just does happen, not because maybe it was missed, just because, you know, things break. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, will you have money if you lose your job? You know, what'll happen? Do you have two people working in this situation? Do you have one? You know, what are the short-term things that could come up? How much money might you want to spend to remodel, to paint, to bring in some new furniture, to fix the floor? You know, whatever might be going on, people have to think beyond just making a down payment and the mortgage is equal to their rent payment, because there are a lot of other expenses.
Right, and sometimes you may qualify on a mortgage for a higher amount than is really going to be comfortable and safe, and in terms of your total financial plan.
Correct.
Yeah. So let's say you're in your 30s and you've been working for a while and you have a retirement plan. Should you ever withdraw money from that retirement plan to use as a down payment for your mortgage?
Yeah, another question that comes up very often. So I back up a little bit from that and say, first of all, are you in a retirement plan? If you make a purchase of a home, are you going to be able to continue going forward to save towards retirement? And in particular, do you have a 401k plan or a 403b or something where your employer is matching your contribution to a certain extent? Because if you need to give up that contribution that's being matched, where you're getting essentially free money from your employer, that's generally a bad idea and a difficult thing to forego. To your point of should you ever take money out of a retirement account, again, it's something you'd have to look at the full picture for the person. There may be some circumstances where for the short term that may make sense. It really depends on the individual.
And you may have to pay taxes on that money, I
Correct.
assume.
You most likely would have to pay taxes and penalties, yes.
But it might work out, yeah.
It might, yeah. One other thing that I counsel people about is life insurance in terms of new mortgage. What happens if the unexpected occurs? Is there life insurance that would cover that mortgage? If two people are buying a home, would one person have enough money to pay for the mortgage and carry on their life? It's an important consideration that younger folks often don't think about. So something to consider.
Right. When you're young, all of these things seem very far off. But I wish that when I was really young, I had you, but just been more methodical in planning. It really is important.
Right. A financial advisor will help anyone just make sense of their money. That's really what we do day in, day out. What is somebody's long-term goals? What are their short-term goals? How much money is coming in? How much is getting spent? And what's the difference? And what can it be used best for? So. Yeah,
and I think it just gives you a feeling of comfort, and it eases the anxiety, especially in buying a home, if you have investigated this and gotten a financial plan and you know that you're kind of doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. Are there any other aspects of financial planning that you would want to talk about with our younger buyers?
No, I think that seek out advice from someone, a financial professional of some sort, because it's very hard to think of all of this on your own, particularly when you're younger.
Right. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us today and giving some, good information to our younger buyers. And I really appreciate your coming. This is Nina Schur. If you have any questions, comments, please write them below or call, text, email. You know how to find me. And thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Nina.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
It was
Thanks.
really good.